The government kept telling us to avoid mirrors. They were asking the wrong question. The real question wasn't, what happens when you look into a mirror? It was, how many times has your reflection already looked back? Because by the fourth day, people weren't disappearing anymore. They were coming home. I don't remember falling asleep. The next thing I knew, morning light was pouring through my bedroom window. The blanket was lying on the floor. The mirror was uncovered. I was standing directly in front of it. I don't remember walking there. For several seconds, I simply stared. Everything looked normal. My reflection copied every movement, every blink, every breath. Then, I noticed something. My heart skipped. There was moisture on the mirror, as if someone had been breathing against it. From the inside, a loud knock pulled me away. This time, it wasn't 3 slow knocks. It was frantic, almost desperate. I opened the door just enough to see outside. Mrs. Harper, my elderly neighbor. She looked exhausted, like she hadn't slept in days. Without saying hello, she grabbed my arm. "Have you seen your brother?" I frowned. I don't have a brother. Her face went completely pale. She slowly let go of my arm, then whispered, "You did yesterday." Before I could ask what she meant, she backed away, still staring at me, like she suddenly wasn't sure who I was anymore. About an hour later, the police knocked on my door. They asked if I had gone outside last night. I told them no. One officer exchanged a nervous glance with the other. Then he showed me a tablet. Security footage. Timestamp. 2:41 a.m. There I was, walking calmly down the sidewalk, hands in my pockets, looking completely relaxed. The problem was, I remembered being inside my apartment the entire night. I even recognized the clothes. I was still wearing them. The officer looked me straight in the eye. "Sir, if this isn't you, then who is it?" The footage continued. The person who looked exactly like me walked through the neighborhood, past dozens of people. Nobody reacted. Nobody screamed. Nobody ran. They simply watched him, smiling. One by one, they began following him, not speaking, not blinking, just walking, like sleepwalkers, until the camera lost sight of them, at the entrance to the old subway tunnel beneath the city. The police weren't supposed to let me go with them. I heard one officer arguing over the radio. Someone higher up kept repeating, "Seal the tunnel! Do not send anyone inside." But the officer beside me quietly said, "We're already too late." There were only 4 of us, 2 officers, 1 detective, and me. The tunnel had been abandoned for years. The tracks were covered in dust. The air smelled damp, like nothing had moved down there in decades. Yet, fresh footprints covered the ground. Hundreds of them, all leading deeper underground. None of them came back. The detective crouched beside the footprints. He didn't say anything at first. Then he looked up. "They're barefoot." I stared at the ground. He was right. Every footprint belonged to someone without shoes. Adults, children, different sizes, different directions. Yet somehow, they all ended at the same place. As we walked farther, we began finding personal belongings. A backpack, a child's toy, a wedding ring, a broken cell phone. It looked as if people had simply stopped needing them. Then, the tunnel opened into a massive chamber. None of us spoke. Rows upon rows of mirrors filled the room. Some were small, others stretched nearly to the ceiling. Every single one was covered with heavy black cloth. There had to be hundreds, maybe thousands. The detective whispered. "What is this place?" One officer slowly shined his flashlight across the room. Every mirror had a number painted on its frame. Some numbers were faded. Others looked recent. One mirror caught my attention. Its number was different. It had been painted only recently. 4721. For some reason, I couldn't stop staring at it. Behind the mirrors, someone had painted a message directly onto the wall. The letters were enormous, old, cracked with age. It read, "Do not remove the covers." Below that, someone else had added another sentence. The handwriting was newer, much messier, almost desperate. "If one of them is empty, run." Nobody understood what it meant. Then, one officer frowned. He slowly counted the mirrors. His flashlight moved from one to another. 1, 2, 3. Then he stopped. "There should be one more." The detective looked at him. "What?" The officer pointed toward an empty concrete space between two mirrors. Dust covered the floor. Except for one clean rectangle, exactly the shape of a large mirror. It wasn't broken, it wasn't knocked over. It was simply gone. Before anyone could react, we heard it. A soft sound, fabric sliding across glass. Every flashlight turned at once. One of the black covers was slowly falling by itself. Nobody touched it. Nobody moved. The cloth slipped lower, inch by inch, then stopped. Just enough for us to see. A hand, pressed flat against the inside of the mirror. Not a reflection. A real hand. Pale. Motionless. Waiting. Then, its fingers began tapping on the glass. 1, 2, 3. The exact same pattern that had been knocking on my apartment door. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. The tapping stopped. The officer closest to the mirror slowly raised his flashlight. His hands were shaking so badly. The light danced across the glass. The detective quietly whispered, "Don't touch it." But fear does strange things to people. Sometimes, it makes them run. Other times, it makes them do exactly what they've been told not to do. The officer grabbed the cloth and pulled it away. There wasn't a monster. There wasn't a ghost. Standing inside the mirror was another police officer. Same uniform, same badge, same face. He wasn't trapped. He wasn't pounding on the glass. He was simply standing there, watching us. The real officer took one step backward. His breathing became frantic. "That's impossible." The detective looked at him. "You know him?" The officer didn't answer. He couldn't, because the man inside the mirror was him, exactly as he looked, down to the smallest scar beside his left eye. Then, the version inside the mirror smiled. The real one didn't. The glass began to move, not crack, not shatter. It rippled, like the surface of a lake. The figure placed one hand against it, then another. Slowly, his arm passed through. No broken glass. No sound. Just a hand reaching into our world. The officer screamed, raised his weapon, and fired. The gunshot echoed through the chamber. The bullet hit the mirror. Nothing happened. Not even a scratch. The hand kept moving. Closer. Closer. Until it wrapped around the officer's wrist. He let out one horrible scream. The lights flickered. For less than a second, everything went dark. When the lights came back, only one officer was standing there. At first, I thought he'd escaped. Then I noticed something. His flashlight was gone. His wedding ring was on the wrong hand. The detective noticed it too. They had worked together for 12 years. He immediately understood. Quietly. He raised his gun. The officer smiled. You already know. His voice sounded normal. Too normal. Then he said something none of us expected. He isn't dead. He's where I came from. The detective whispered, "What are you?" The smile widened. We're what's left. Every time someone looks long enough, before anyone could react, every black cloth in the chamber moved. Not one, not 10. All of them. Thousands of mirrors, thousands of hands, pressing outward. The room filled with the sound of tapping. Slow, perfectly synchronized. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. The detective shouted, "Run!" Nobody argued. We turned and sprinted back toward the tunnel. Behind us, I heard fabric tearing, glass rippling, and footsteps. Hundreds of footsteps, not chasing us, walking calmly, like they already knew. They wouldn't have to, because by now, they were no longer trapped underground. Some of them were already waiting for us, outside.